So let's take a moment to just be. To withdraw our attention from the outer world, the physical world, the world of form, and to connect with our heart of hearts, with our spirit, our soul, our essence, the real self. And just set an intention today to be open and receptive to a deeper vision, a deeper way of being in the world. To be an instrument of peace. To be love in action. Unconditional love in action. To be a person who trusts spirit within deeply. Just be willing. Just be open is all that's asked of us. Just let yourself experience what that means to you, how that feels. And then slowly and gently bring your attention back. When you're ready, and if you wish, you may open your eyes. Good morning. What a huge crowd. I can't take it. So what I would love for you is to come forward if you're comfortable with that, because it feels better for me. I'm being purely selfish. So just come up a little. Come a little closer. Get cozy. You know what happens in New Jersey when there's a perfectly beautiful Sunday? People just love to have their spiritual connection outside. And they just love communing with nature. And I get it because it's fall and almost winter. So thank you for coming closer. It feels so much better to me. Come closer, birthday boy. There's the birthday boy. Happy birthday, Bill Wiki. All right. Good morning, everyone. I am Frankie Timmers, and I'm the spiritual director here, and I'm so glad that you got out of bed this morning and decided to be in spiritual community with actual people in an actual space, because I know there's so many options. And we are so much more than this. And I just want you to know that we're part of an organization called Centers for Spiritual Living that are all over the world, mostly in the United States, mostly in California. And we teach this idea that we call the science of mind, which is a very, very ancient idea that says that there is a power and a presence within you, and you can use it. You're actually already using it, but you can use it more consciously by making that connection. That's really what I'm going to talk about today. And we have the wonderful Gary Novikov with us. Let's give him a warm hand. And Gary has a brand new CD hot off the press called Angels in the... Huh?
Advanced copies today.
Advanced copies today. Just get them from him. And it's his band, Angels in the Chamber. And I was already reading it. I just can't wait to not play it in my car because they don't make CD players anymore in cars. But I will be playing it, so I look forward to that. So Something's happening here today that you can kind of tell by what's behind me. This stage was covered in flowers yesterday for Nick Fiore, who was Karen Fiore's dad. He made his transition. And I'm leaving them there today because another beloved member of our center made her transition this week, Carol Parker, who was here before I was. And she was quite ill, and she was very private about it. But I got to see her about a little bit over a week ago, and I want you to know that this is the thing she wanted the most, to not be in this physical body, in this world anymore. So it's a celebration of her life. And we're planning something which I think might be Wednesday, but it's so in the cooker right now, so we'll let you know via email. So just pay attention to your emails. We'll send a message out and let you know. It will be sometime in the early evening. Her daughter, Debbie, who lives in Rockland County, so it's taking a little bit of work to put it all together. And then some more news. One of our members that's been around for a long time, Alan Sherwood, is moving to Toms River, and he's going to join this new spiritual community in Asbury Park with Reverend Rhea Carroll. And we're going to have a party for him, and we're collecting some money for him so we can buy a present, which is the wonderful Jean Lee's idea. So the jar is out there, and money is coming in, and we'll surprise him either next Sunday or the Sunday after that. He couldn't decide when I called him the other day, so stay tuned. All right, the one thing that we do always and often is spiritual mind treatment, which is our word for affirmative prayer. So I invite you to just close your eyes and just listen and just receive it in the fertile energy of your heart, your mind, and your body. So right here, right now, there's a power in the presence that is greater than we are. We call it God, good, life, universe, spirit, grace, the infinite presence of joy itself. It is that which always was, always will be. It's everywhere present in everyone, everything, everywhere. And we have been given this life experience to remember that. And every time we forget, it is simply an opportunity to remember and to step into living the highest wisdom that already resides within us. And so sometimes it feels like peeling away the layers of discontent or peeling away the layers of misinformation or limiting belief. But because we are so open and receptive and so willing, and because we showed up today, we have it as a deep longing to be free and to be what the universe made us to be, in total expression. And so we are grateful for this and so much more. We're grateful to be able to come together in a community that supports one another, that offers this beautiful teaching, and that offers support, life, and light. And so it is. So today is a really, really great day because we have a tent on the Morristown Green. And so we want all of you to come. I'm telling you, there's a lot of people praying for good weather today because it's really beautiful outside. It's the Morristown Festival on the Green. It always happens this time of year. We always have a table there. And if you want to hang out for a while and show your beautiful heart and a smiling face, come. Or just come and say hi. We are on the side where Century 21 is. You know, where Century 21 goes south to Mount Campbell. That's where we are, somewhere in the middle. And that's where I'm going to be a little bit later, so come and say hi. And I know some of you are going to be there as volunteers. And Carolyn Sukoff is right now, as we speak, setting up a table for us. So come and visit. So today is the last Sunday in September, and the theme for the year is 100 Years of Science of Mind. 100 years ago, Dr. Ernest Holmes, our founder, published a book, Creative Mind. And The whole organization is celebrating that 100 years of this beautiful teaching. And in September, it's Spiritual Mind Treatment, which is our word for affirmative prayer, the feeling. So today is the last day, so I want to kind of wrap it up and put a pretty ribbon on it, hopefully, so that you can take it home and really ingest it, digest it. So the one thing that we all forget the most often, is that we are pure love. Each of us are pure love. We are pure spirit in physical form. You and I are absolute miracles. Not just when you were born and your parents said, here's our miracle. But every single breath and every single heartbeat that you are experiencing is a miracle. The fact that a seed and an egg came together and made you is an absolute miracle. The fact that you're getting up in the morning and doing your day, whatever it is that you do, all of it is absolutely miraculous. You have a mind that is your most powerful possession, with which anything and everything is possible. We only have to look at somebody who does something that's never been done before, or does it in the greatest way. We might think of athletes, we might think of musicians, we might think of famous authors or spiritual teachers. And we're all the same. We all have that same life force, that same energy available to us. What we know from this teaching is that if we're not experiencing that and if we're not expressing that, it's not because our parents didn't tell us enough. It's not because you came out of the wrong nest, were born into the wrong nest. It's not because of your education, your sex, your gender, your sexual orientation, your politics. It's none of that. It's simply because you have forgotten. And so life has been given to us so that we may remember our real, capital R, self. And boy, do we make that an interesting drama, don't we? I know I do sometimes. And so our essence is who we really are. And isn't it interesting that we identify with that less often, that we forget that more often, and that is the thing that goes to the background. I was listening to one of my favorite teachers the other day, and he said, your real self is 95% of you. Your human self is only 5%. That's interesting, how much time, effort, energy, and drama we create around that. And how we then forget who and what we really are. And how beautiful it is that every time we forget and we fall back into remembrance, it's right there. It's not saying, well, today I'm not going to give myself to you because you just don't care. You ignore me all the time. It's right there. And so we are here in this human form that is not our real self, capital R, capital S. And some teachings say it's an illusion. We don't quite say that, but in a way it is, because anything that changes all the time isn't real. That which is permanent and constant is real, and that's our spirit. That's our essence. And so we are here, we've been given this life. Actually, I believe our soul decided to be incarnating as this, so that it's the perfect right environment to awaken to our essential self, to awaken to our real capital R, capital S self, and to give that expression, to give that life, not to suffer. Not to be burdened by your problems. Not to think you are less than fill in the blank. Not to try to figure out how to be more abundant. Not to find the perfect right relationship. As my teacher always said, you're doing this with that. That's what he imagines God saying to us. right? So we're doing a treatment to get a raise. So the higher self is saying, really? Right? And so I love to use that with humor because I have learned that I have to laugh at myself a lot because I'm just too pathetic sometimes and just too silly and too critical and too worried. And more as I've done my practices over the years, all that started to fall away. And my mind is a lot more quiet. Life is a lot more simple. Some might say I live in a bubble. That's fine, like my bubble. But it's really about the simplicity of connecting over and over and over again with our higher self and to live from that. And that's life, I think. And I think that's what this teaching says. So then there's our worldly self, our human self, the part of us that gets obsessed with politics this week, the last few weeks. The part of us that might be obsessed with the environment. The part of us that just wants to be right in our relationship and make sure everybody knows. The part that's argumentative. You know, I remember a time when I had a constant argument going on in my mind about the conversations I had to have with people or the things I had to fix or what was wrong with the world. That's a miserable way to live, I think. And so we might be focused on the adversity that's happening in the world. We might be focusing that there's just too much discrimination, which is true. We might be thinking that the earth is going to hell in a handbasket, which might be true. But we must remember that their higher self, the real self, has a different point of view and has therefore a different contribution to make. It's a view and a contribution from a place of expansion rather than contraction. And so we begin to pay attention to how we are imprisoned, how our real self, our spirit, is imprisoned by our more worldly, lower self. And that becomes part of our work, part of our spiritual practice. I love the poem by Kabir. Are you looking for me? I'm in the next seat. My shoulder is against you. You will not find me in stupas, not in Indian shrine rooms, nor in synagogues, nor in cathedrals, nor in masses, nor kirtans, not in legs winding around your own neck, nor in eating nothing but vegetables. When you really look for me, you will see me instantly. You will find me in the tiniest house of time. Kabir says, student, tell me what is God. He is the breath inside the breath. So can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel the depth and the breadth of your breath, the miraculousness of your breath and your heartbeat? Can you feel your own divinity that is so miraculous and can never be put into words, can never be painted or drawn or even spoken of? That feeling that you have when you look into the eyes of your new foster kitten. See how she goes? That feeling when you hang out with your child, Morgan. That feeling when you look into your beloved's eyes and you see pure love. That feeling when you're near the ocean and you're watching the sunset or the sunrise. That's the real you. That's your essence. That's what wants to be experienced and wants to be lived and wants to be felt all the time. And so we live in critical times. The critical times that we live in is not because things are going awry in the world. They're because we forget who we really are. And we forget to apply it with the people that we hate, despise, judge, criticize, want to get rid of, want to kill or maybe harm. Nobody wants to kill anyone in this room. Maybe harm. I used to love, I don't remember her name. I think it was Melody Beattie who said, "Did you ever want to kill someone?" It was a big crowd. Put up your hand, and there was a few people. And she said, "How about maim?" All the hands went up. See, the people that we struggle with are our greatest teachers. I was talking to somebody this week. We were talking about unconditional love, and I said, for years, and I've been here a long time, I literally used to say from this spot that unconditional love does not exist among human beings. Remember? That's only God's love. There, she remembers too. Well, have I had a turn of heart? I know today and have known for a few years that unconditional love is the only love there is. Unconditional love is the only love there is. If it's not unconditional, it's not love. So we get to ask ourselves the question, what is it then that wants to turn into love? I'm just cracking up because Morgan is sneaking up on you. He's been like a mouse coming up the row, getting behind you. You found Mommy. You found her. That's what it's like, finding Mommy, right? And so that's been a really powerful thing for me. And those of you that have been around have probably seen that transformation because I have felt it. And so now I know that the only love is unconditional love. If I cannot love someone unconditionally, then it's not love. And it's wanting to become love. So then the question is, what has to happen inside of me to be an instrument of unconditional love? And what does that mean anyway? What does that look like? Does it mean I'm going to be a doormat? Well, that's actually a whole other talk. No, it doesn't. And so what we get to do then is we get to pay attention to where we're hanging out, because the real self with a capital R-S and the lower self, the human self, the worldly self are not two separate things. They are connected, they are one, but we experience them as separate, so then we fall into trouble because separation is the only problem that exists on the planet and inside our own mind. And so the idea is that we have to recognize when we're living from our higher self or from the lower self. And then we have to choose. And that might mean saying, I'm going to just be my lower self today, and I'll just be it. There's a child in the room, B-I-T-C-H. Or J-E-R-K. Just choose it and own it. Just choose it and own it. And say to your spouse when you've been mean to them, I'm sorry. My desire is to be unconditional love for you and with you. So let's find a way. Because really, that's the thing we want. So in order for us to receive it, we must first give it. And so that means sometimes that you have to have a lot of conversations, right? We have to have a lot of talks, a lot of thought about that, a lot of awareness around it. Because unconditional love is who we are. That's the real self. What does that look like? And so then we make an awareness, we see, we reflect on, so there is light and there is darkness in this world. When I'm experiencing my worldly self and my higher self, I'm having a completely different experience. Let me reflect on that. Let me explore that a little bit. Let me see what that's about. Let me take responsibility for it, and let me make some choices on how and when and where I want to heal that, because I know if I don't heal it, I will see it. And I will experience it in my life. Ernest Holmes said this. I love this. What is it that must be felt in spiritual practice. The feeling which is beyond words, statements, and phrases. It's the essence of life, the spirit of the thing from which the mind automatically draws an intellectual conclusion. This feeling results in words which are an activity of the feeling, the enforcement of the principle, capital P, back of it. In this way, the word becomes the spirit of life. And so, the individual is the collective. The higher self is the lower self, and vice versa. It's all connected, but it requires us to reflect, to see, to think about, to look deeper. When I moved into my condo in Morristown many years ago, I had a huge argument with a neighbor the day I was moving in. My radio was too loud, and he made sure he told me in a really rude, obnoxious, angry way. From then on, he was the angry man. And nobody in the building liked him. Everybody had a problem with him. I know I told this story before, it just came to mind, so it wanted to be told again. And after a year or two, I was like, it doesn't feel right. That's not what we teach. That's not who I am. That's not what I believe. And so I decided to have a change of mind and heart about it and to change the relationship. And I prayed on it. I treated like, Spirit, show me how, just help me how, show me how. And I would listen and meditate. And then one day I realized how I could get to him. By that time, he had 2 little boys. And I saw him coming up the steps by the mailboxes, and I walked up to him and I said, your kids are so cute. I said, they look so smart. Are they smart? He completely changed in his face. His whole energy shifted. He had a smile on his face, which was the first time I had ever seen it. And he said, yeah, they're really smart. And since then, well, I moved 4 years ago, there was always a kind and warm greeting. Even when they moved out and I saw him in a grocery store, he came up to me and said, hello, how are you? So that's literally what happens, that when we choose to see the Spirit, the God, the love in someone, knowing it is there, something shifts and happens. And we don't get to decide what that's going to look like. We may not be best friends. We may not be married to them anymore or live with them. But it means that something shifts and we have a different experience. And so we are actually here to birth ourselves. We're actually in this human experience to birth our real, capital R, self. What does that mean? You're here, you and I are here to become a real human being. A real human being is when spirit and human become one, and there's no more separation, even in thought. That means that we have to live the awareness of our real self, our essential self, more and more and more. Ernest Holmes again says, I believe that the heart of the universe, the essence of reality of God, the living spirit, is of the essence of pure feeling. I believe that feeling is back of every creative impulse, whether in God or in human. So close your eyes for a moment and just notice how you feel. You don't have to speak, just notice how you feel. And whether you believe, whatever you believe about what came first, the chicken or the egg, about feeling and thought, it's always feeling. Feeling is first. So allow yourself to notice how you feel when you deeply connect with your heart of hearts and you know you are spirit in physical form. And feel the expansiveness of it. And then remember the last time you were angry or hurt. Notice how that feels. And then find the two become one. Just let them blend and become one, and allow to fall out a little message, a little wisdom, a little insight. If it could speak, what would it say? And then open your eyes. So the question we get to ask ourselves is, what is my identity? Do I identify with my spirit, with universal love, with infinite wisdom already within me, with the creative process? Or do I identify with my gender, my age, my relationships, the world I live in, my political views, and so on and so on? Regardless of any challenge we may have or have had, that's not our identity. That's just an experience to awaken us to our true identity. Somebody please write that down. Because that's a powerful quote. And I already forgot what I said. What did I say? Does somebody remember? How did I start? Awaken to your true identity. Your experiences are not your true identity. They are there for you to awaken to your true identity. But because we identify so much with our experience, all our true identity gets forgotten. And that's where the struggle comes in. We don't have to go home and tell our spouses this, or our kids or our neighbors. This is just something to really take inside and digest and work with and think about and use. So all the stuff that's happening in the world that we would call darkness is just the absence of light. And what's required when we notice darkness is that we bring our light to it and not more darkness, because then we're part of the problem. I know there's so much seduction and distraction in this world that wants you to go to the experience and judge it. There's something happening in our world that doesn't want us to identify with our essence and live it. That's why we're on a spiritual path, and that's why it's so important right now. So what is ours to do is to use our light, our love, our wisdom, our creativity, and to notice what's in the way. And instead of making it about somebody else, just work with it. Just love it. Just give it some unconditional love. Haven't you ever noticed a screaming child? Slapping it won't work, but wrapping it in your arms and just loving it will. And so we get to notice what's in the way. We get to keep going to the truth, infuse ourselves with the truth, do the healing, do the dissolving of what's in the way, see the truth, claim the truth, and that's where our spiritual practices come in. One more quote by Ernest Holmes. I can't help myself today. There's a lack of spiritual leadership in the world right now. So we shouldn't be concerned what the world thinks of us. We have a religious concept that will revolutionize the world, and we just need to stick with it. All we have to do is to surrender to the big idea, the great idea of the cosmic whole, the perfect Christ within, the living God inseparable from ourselves, begetting within us, the only begotten singing in us the song eternal, living in us the light that lights the path of every person. So I love what you said just now. Isn't that the truth? It's the truth because we've made it so. We are the spiritual leaders. Don't wait for somebody else to come forward and do it. It is ours to do, right? So we have 5 spiritual practices in our teaching, really 7. And if you're sitting here going, oh my God, I better write these down really quick, I would say you can write them down, but you have one more opportunity this week to come to a class. And that's what we flesh out in our classes. So come on Monday nights or Thursday mornings, because that's where the real juicy stuff happens. But we teach spiritual mind treatment, our process of affirmative prayer, meditation, affirmations, visualization, visioning, and I would add 2 more, study, spiritual study. I mean, somebody was telling me the other day, you know what, I read the Science of Mind textbook once, years ago, from cover to cover. You know, like the way people say about the Bible. I don't know how they do the Bible, but the textbook, I can do that. And I said to them, only once? I've lost count. And I love that because every time I read it, there's something different in it. And is it a tough book? Yeah, it's a textbook. So start in the middle. Just start reading, right? And so there is another one. Study, I just said. There's one more. It's the living lab. It's really taking this teaching and living it. And so then you can ask people maybe, you know, do you see me living the principles that I practice? Do you see me be more godlike? Do you see me be more kind? And that's what people will notice. They'll look at you and they say, there's something different about you. Sometimes it's I like a look, right? I get that at the gas station a lot because I love these people up that are serving me. I just love them up and I just say hello and they're kind of like, take that. Like, what is that? Somebody that's actually looking in my eyes? Wow. And so it's that living lab. It's to really begin to practice these principles at home. I know it's not always easy. Believe me. I'm one of 9 siblings. Spirit said, let's give her some good practice. And then half of them died, so there was a whole other level of practice to it. So it's living in concert then with the real self. I feel like I'm just babbling over here. I went somewhere and I don't know where it was, but anyway. So the last thing I want to say is something that I'm really working on now, that I'm experiencing, that's really powerful for me. Do any of you ever say, oh, I can't wait till I have vacation? Or I can't wait to get home and take my shoes off? Or I can't wait to get home and have a drink? Or go to sleep? Or I can't wait till it's Friday? That kind of thing. We do it in other ways. Can't wait till I'm in a relationship. I can't wait until I'm healed from this particular condition. I can't wait to be free. I can't wait to be more spiritually awake. I can't wait to have more unconditional love in my life. There is no I can't wait. It's right here and it's right now or never. And that's the thing I'm working with is like, how can I be more present? Even when I think I'm present, there's more to be present to, and not from a place of criticalness, but just like, how can I be more present in my real self, as my real self, and live that? I have a long way to go, but that's okay. Can I celebrate here and now as being enough, as being my own unique self expressing? And then we have to take care of the walls and the filters that are in front of our real self's expression. Then we have to keep going from where we are to who we really are consciously. Then we have to release what's in the way instead of waiting for the world to change or waiting for something to change in us so that we can feel more whole, to claim that wholeness here and now. So I want you to think about something, because I'm already over the time, is that I want you to experience for a moment a visioning experience. Visioning is our practice of spiritual mind treatment and meditation in one. So I'm going to do like a mini visioning that I want to close with. So close your eyes and just imagine that your mind is emptying. And there's just the now moment, the breath, the awareness of self with a capital S. The presence of love like no love ever experienced before. An experience of peace that permeates your entire being. Just choose to go there. It's already in you, so just choose to be there. And just ask the question and silently answer it in your heart. What is God's vision for my greater self-expression right now? For my real self being fully alive, awake, and present. What is God's or divine love's or the universal presence in me? What is its vision for my greater self-expression right now? Right now. And then let's ask this. What has to happen inside of me to express that right now? What has to happen? What wants to heal? How must I grow? What must I become? What's required of my consciousness, of me, my worldly self? And then the last question, what do I have to let go of? What must I release now? So let's close with the healing treatment, which is our word for affirmative prayer. So close your eyes. And just for a moment, I want you to remember what it is that you had to let go of. And first, infuse it with love instead of judgment. If you're still holding judgment, just infuse it with love. Just hold it tenderly close to your heart, whether it's your imagination or your actual vision of it. And as I speak this word, I speak it from and to our real self, capital R, capital S. So I'll speak it to and from the I am that I am, which is our true name. I am is our true name. It is our real self name. It's our God name. So right here, right now, I remember that I am a spiritual being. And that I chose at some level to have this particular human incarnation, this human experience. And I know that it is perfectly conducive for my evolution to turn everything into pure love, pure peace, pure wisdom, pure creativity, and pure joy. I am here to live a life that is filled with all that and then some. I am here to be free. So this life has been given to me to free myself of any belief in lack and limitation. Today, I know that there's something within me that is cheering me on, that's supporting me, that's guiding me, that's giving me whatever it is that I need to free myself and to dwell in the house of divine love, unconditional love. I am an instrument in this incarnation, in this world, to make it a better place, and it starts with me. And so I surrender to the activity of spirit within me. I let it dissolve any dis-ease, any fear, any anxiety, any worry, any idea of lack, any experience that does not support my highest and best. And I surrender this word to the universal law, because now all I have to do is surrender it to the law and let the law provide for me. So my faith increases exponentially in the universal law that I'm using anyway.